So last year was Godzilla's 60th anniversary, and he's had his time to shine. He's had a new movie come out. He's going to have a new movie in Japan coming out next year. But I think it's now time we give some love and respect to everyone's favorite flying turtle and fire-breathing turtle, probably the only flying fire-breathing turtle ever created, Gamera. Because it's his 50th anniversary, he needs some love just as much as the Big G does. Now, if you recall, back in 2013, on my old channel, AlexG8462, I reviewed every Godzilla movie made in Japan, 28 reviews in 28 days. I figured that since this is Gamera's 50th anniversary, I will review all the Gamera movies on this month. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday until the end of February is going to be a review for a Gamera movie. Now, I know James Rolfe has done this before. I know he's reviewed the first 7 Gamera movies and has breezed over the remaining 5 Gamera movies. But the difference between him and what I'm doing is, for the original Gamera movies, the first 8 Gamera movies made, I'm watching these for the first time. Unlike Godzilla, I didn't really grow up with Gamera. And the only Gamera movies I'm familiar with are the ones from the 90s. So what's going to be interesting is I'm going to be watching the original Gamera movies for the first time, and basically giving my honest opinions from watching the movie to recording right now. So, let's get started with the first movie, Gamera the Giant Monster. The movie begins in the North Pole, where a scientist, his assistant, and a photographer visit an Eskimo village. Why they're actually there, it's not really specified. But then a unknown plane gets shot down by US jets and crash lands a distance from where our main characters are. Turns out the plane was holding a nuke, and as the scientist goes, oh, the nuke's far away from us, we're not going to be affected by it, there's no fallout's going to come this way, it awakens a giant monster, which the leader of that Eskimo tribe identifies somehow, I guess he has supervision, as the ancient giant turtle named Gamera. Gamera attacks a nearby ship and then heads off to Japan to basically cause more mayhem, as the scientist, the assistant, and the photographer try to help the Japanese self-defense force get rid of Gamera, or kill him, possibly. This movie came out in 1965, 50 years ago, the same year the 6th Godzilla movie came out, Invasion of the Astro Monster. Now, back in those days of the Japanese film industry, each of the major 5 studios had their own specialty when it came to a certain film. Toho's was obviously kaiju movie, and obviously the Godzilla series. And even though other studios specified in a genre, because Godzilla was such a big hit, everyone wanted to make their own giant monster. Gamera was created by Daiei, which distributed Akira Kurosawa's one of his most famous movies, Rashomon, but didn't really specify in a genre. So I think Gamera and Rashomon are the 2 most noticeable things to come out of Daiei. And out of all the giant Japanese monsters to come out in the wake of Godzilla, Gamera is probably the most popular one. I mean, he's a turtle with 2 giant tusks. He breathes fire. He flies. Thank you, Roger Ebert, for saying that he's powered by farts. I guarantee you most people have not seen one Gamera movie, but I guarantee you that he is at least recognizable, unlike some other obscure monsters that came out in the wake of Godzilla. Now, does this first movie hold a candle to the original Godzilla? Obviously not, no. The original Godzilla is one of my favorite movies of all time, and the first Gamera movie it's an enjoyable monster movie. I don't think there's any Japanese giant monster movie that has come close to the original Godzilla. That's maybe a lie. We'll get to that later. This one is very well made in terms of a monster movie. It's got some great destruction scenes. Gamera is a really out there monster. I mean, it's no surprise at this point that Gamera breathes fire and flies. But when you think about Godzilla, he's very natural. Most of the Godzilla monsters created seemed very down to earth and something that just something very basic, like Rodan is a pteranodon, Mothra is just a giant moth. King Ghidorah is a three-headed dragon with golden wings that shoots electricity. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. I mean, while Gamera is a giant turtle, flying definitely adds an aspect of, what the fuck? But that's one of the things that separates Gamera from Godzilla. And now, as I mentioned before, this movie does not hold a candle to the original Godzilla. One aspect is the human characters. They're really forgettable. They're mainly there just to service the plot. You don't really get a sense of what they're going through, unlike Dr. Serizawa or Emiko in the original Godzilla. So they're really not all that interesting. That's why I didn't really talk about them in this review. Some of the models are really bad. I mean, the first shot of this movie, after the Daiei logo, is a plane flying through the air, and it's not very detailed. You can see the strings. It's just like, damn, like, it's too bad you don't have an Eiji Tsuburaya Daiei to really, like, photograph these things in a believable way and just deliver really detailed models. But in the spirit of Gamera being just kind of cheesy, you can have fun with it, like, for how cheesy it can be. But there's one aspect of this movie that I absolutely cannot stand at all. And there's this little kid named Toshio who, like, tries to convince the Japanese Self-Defense Force, the scientists and his comrades, that, oh, Gamera's not a bad monster, stop being mean to him, leave him alone. Even though Gamera has destroyed a ship in the ice, destroyed a power plant, rampaged across Tokyo, and burned people alive with his fiery breath, Toshio's just like, he doesn't mean any harm, leave him alone. And the reason for that is because earlier in the movie, before Gamera makes his way to Tokyo, Toshio falls from a building and Gamera pretty much saves his life. So it's a weird aspect that it's like, so just because this giant turtle saved your life and you have an addiction to turtles, you think it's okay for him to just go around killing innocent people? It's like, there's even a point in the movie where Toshio almost gets himself killed trying to defend Gamera from a military strategy. It's just like, come on, kid. But, you know, aside of Toshio, Gamera the Giant Monster is an enjoyable movie. It would help if the models were a little detailed on the planes and some of the other miniatures, and it would help if it tried to, like, distinguish itself a little more from Godzilla. But for what it is, for just looking at it as a movie, it's very well done. At the time, I'd say it's definitely one of the better Japanese giant monster movies made. And it's something that it's just very, even if you don't like it, it's very light and inoffensive. It's enjoyable, I think, and that's how I feel. It's a good movie, but it's definitely not a great movie. A good first attempt and a good introduction to one of the most famous Japanese giant monsters out there. And that's my review for Gamera the Giant Monster. Leave a comment, tell me what you thought of the movie if you've seen it. Like, subscribe, go check out my video blog channel. You can follow me on Twitter at AlexG8462. Follow me on Instagram at TheRealMrRobinson. And go like my Facebook page /TheRealMrRobinson. Check out my written movie reviews on Geeked Out Nation. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one.